So this is just a few examples of sharing economy. This is a band called 9 Inch Nails. And they launched a CD called Ghost. And they use this kind of fancy Creative Commons license called Attribution Non-Commercial Share Alike, which basically means you have to say you can use the music, you can download it for free, and you can remix, but you can't sell it, and you have to give it back to us so we can put it on the website, but you're free to use and modify the work. And they gave the music away for free, and they made their own website, and they had a box set, a photo album, a signed box set. In 1 week, they made $1.6 million. And it's very interesting because there's no record label here, you don't see them, there's no record store. And this is also Japanese anime community is doing this a lot too, but instead of trying to take a little bit from everyone, you try to take a lot from a fewer number of people. This is much more about building respect and relationship. It's like patrons rather than taking a tax. So what they're finding is that it's difficult on the internet to get me to pay for all 2,000 songs I listen to every day. But the 10 bands that I love, I'm willing to spend $300 to get the special set. And so this is a very different kind of business model that works only because of the internet. Because now you feel like you're talking directly to the author, to the artist. For instance, a band called Radiohead did a CD, and they said, pay whatever you want. You know, and there's actually a restaurant in San Francisco like this. Pay whatever you want. In fact, most people pay more than what the normal list price would be because they have a respect for the artist. And I think this mutual respect between the artist and the user is one of the new business models that many good artists are starting to understand. This is Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera licensed the Gaza footage under Creative Commons license, this most liberal license, allowing anyone, including, I think, Rai, use it here in Italy. And they, as long as you use Al Jazeera logo, fine to use it. And they got so many follow-up leads of people coming to license stuff because they found out about it. They were screenshotted and used all over Wikipedia, so the Al Jazeera logo is everywhere on Wikipedia now. And so they found that this lead generation and the promotion that they got by giving away this broadcast quality footage was actually a huge positive effect for Al Jazeera. Of course, Wikipedia uses Creative Commons. This allows now, for instance, universities that are creating courseware and textbooks under Creative Commons license to mix with Wikipedia. And when President Obama was elected, and during the inauguration, just exactly at noon, when he was inaugurated, they changed the copyright notice on the White House page and added Creative Commons, which was nice. So all third-party content uploaded to the government's site White House site is Creative Commons. And the US is now, as you know, is working very much to change their story from democracy to transparency. And part of the transparency is how do we share information. And so when, in the last administration, I never got a call from Washington. Now, when I go, I have days and days of meetings with people who want to figure out how to legally share government data with other people. The Green Exchange is another. This is actually a patent exchange. This is Nike and Best Buy and many companies trying to share patents. But they have the same problem, which is how do we make a standard license so that we don't have to have a lawyer every time somebody wants to use a license for sustainability or to cure malaria. And so we find that a lot of the things that we learned about in copyright also affect patents and other things. But anyway, these are all people who are sharing. And Google and Microsoft and Yahoo are some of our biggest supporters. So Google and Yahoo Advanced Search, you can now search by Creative Commons license. Microsoft is building these tools. So you think that these guys are very, well, especially Microsoft is very strong pro-copyright, but they're finding that allowing the users to share their content and mark their content with copyright permission is good for business. So this is the Italian flag. So, I think that I see a lot of parallels between Italy and Japan, and maybe it's because I'm a little bit ignorant, but you have a very strong, very smart telecom, slightly different evolution in Japan, because I think in Japan we kind of tricked them into government investment into fiber, so we had a lot of fiber going, but we always have this tussle between kind of open and closed, and Japan is also not very strong on the what do you call it, the venture side. And we've also been having this debate about security and about closing the internet or opening the internet, and we also have this kind of struggle with this security and privacy. In Japan, it's actually a different debate about trying to protect young children from crime. It's the same here. But I think that the thing that we struggle with is Japan is clearly very far behind the United States, and it's kind of sinking. The new political party also doesn't really understand these things. And I know we have a panel coming up next, but I'd be very curious to kind of interact with you on this. And what I really want to urge, though, is that the example that I like to give is it's like a biological system. So when you have a child, you don't protect the child by putting them in a bubble with no germs, or don't allow them to fall. You try to build the immune system, and you try to build the brain to be robust. And so sometimes they'll fall and they hurt themselves. Sometimes they'll get sick. Sometimes they get the flu. But then they build up tolerance and robustness. So I think everyone remembers when spam was a huge issue. But now it's becoming less of an issue, actually. But if we had banned all kinds of email, if we had banned all these things, we would never have solved the spam issue. And it takes a while, and it costs a lot of energy. But to build a robust system, to build a good immune system, I think you really have to expose the whole system to lots of this pain. It's better to do it early, because when you become an adult and you get chicken pox, you might die. But when you're a small child and you get chicken pox, you build up your immunity. And I think that when you're trying to build the internet, these problems are small compared to what could happen if we don't build up a resistance. And I think the resistance is about, like when you have a child that's learning to grow up on the street, you get kind of a sense, you get sensibility, you get a literacy, and you also create social structures to respond to them through citizens and through participation rather than control. And I really think that the parallel, also in Japan, we have the same problem, which is it's a parallel with the free market as well. When you try to control the economics, it fails, like the Soviet Union. I think that it's never smarter than the dumbest guy in the bureaucracy in Japan. And so this is why I think all the controlled industries in Japan have failed. Whereas a free market, you have all these lumps, but you can evolve to be something smarter than it's the sum of the parts. And so this is kind of my message as a strong believer in the internet. Hopefully, I think in the long run, it would be much better if we build up immunity instead of trying to control. Thank you.